Hi everybody, Scott here, and in this video I'm going to be unboxing the Google Nexus 5X. As you can see, it comes in kind of a boring brown box. My Nexus 6 came in a nice looking white box. I guess they cheaped out for the cheaper phone. And by the way, I also have a Nexus 6. If you see my previous Project 5 video, this phone is for my wife. We both were on Verizon. I'm sick of Verizon, and so she requested an invite to Fi and got one within about 2 days, I think. And we ordered the phone right away, and it came a few days after that. They're actually quick with the shipping and all that good stuff. So first thing you see here is the Project Fi SIM card, and on it says, helpfully, data, talk, and text, which is what you get with any phone service, so I don't know why they bother saying those three things. I guess they need to put something in there. And I don't know why it came closed with a paperclip. Anyway, here is the Nexus 5X box. It's a box. I mean, I don't know. It's not the nicest packaging in the world, but it's not bad either. In addition to the sleeve, there is an annoying little piece of tape holding the box closed. I don't know why they bother. I guess if it's in a store, this way someone can't just slip off the sleeve, slip open the box, and steal the phone, even though they almost never leave these kind of things out. So I don't know why they need that extra level of security. But there you go, and here's the inside of the box. It has this nice piece of cardboard covering it with a pull tab, even though you don't need a pull tab because it just fell right off. This is an LG phone. The Nexus 6 is a Motorola. I generally hate LG as a company, and I do not like their products. I do, however, like Motorola phones. I've had them, or I had them for years before I switched to Samsung and HTC, and I'm glad to be back with Motorola. They just make, in my opinion, some really good phones. One thing which perplexed me at first, because I had never seen one before in person, is that this has a USB Type-C charging cable. So those are USB-C connectors. Basically, USB-C seems like a really good standard. The connectors, it doesn't matter which way you put them in, they'll go in, and the connectors are the same on both ends, so it doesn't matter which way you have the cable oriented. Anyway, this comes with a free 90-day trial of Google Play Music, which is pretty good, I guess. And of course, in this little packet here is some safety and regulatory information, warranty information in this booklet. So basically, you take it out, you show it to the camera, and then you put it aside and never look at it again, or put it over there. And there is the SIM card slot unlock key. Needlessly fancy, but cool. I mean, I probably lose it. Well, I'll probably leave it in the original packaging and save the packaging. So, but you know, otherwise you might lose it. You can just use a paper clip, so it's really kind of pointless in the first place. And they actually did include a paper clip with this, so I could just use that. Anyway, here's the phone, which you probably came here to see. Sorry about the little bit of blurriness, but just trying to block out the IEMI number or whatever's on the back. The first thing I noticed about the phone is that it is very light. I don't just mean lighter than the Nexus 6, because obviously it is smaller than the Nexus 6, which you saw right there on the right, but it's just light for a phone of its size. It doesn't feel very dense at all. It also only has, well, not only, it's not a terrible battery, 2700 milliamp hour battery compared to 3450 in the Nexus 6P. That doesn't have a SIM card in it is, of course, to install the SIM card. My Nexus 6 actually came with the SIM card pre-installed. I don't know if that's because I was a fairly early adopter of Project Fi, or because it was a Motorola phone, and Motorola Mobility, or whatever they're called now, is owned by Google, and this is an LG phone. So this is a Nano SIM card, I believe. It's really tiny. My fat fingers couldn't quite get it in there just right in the first try, but there we go. It's in the carrier, and the carrier slots right into the phone. If you've had a new phone in the last few years, you've probably been through this already. And so now it's time to start it up and activate it. So there's the new Google logo, which of course means this is a very new phone if they bothered to include that change. I wonder how last minute someone had to rush to update that in this firmware. But anyway, turns into the 4 balls, and then those balls turn into some other nonsense. And this nonsense is actually kind of weird to me. I don't think it looks terribly attractive. Anyway, I'm propping up the phone right now just to make it shoot a little better on the camera maybe. I don't think I really succeeded, but we'll get to that later. The video of the phone screen will actually look better in a minute because I'm going to adjust the camera settings. So let's take a closer look at the USB cable. Those are the USB Type-C connectors. Like I said, they're the same on both ends, and of course there is the comparable port on the power supply. Power supply being a bit bigger than I think it should be. It's probably relatively high amperage, but I don't know why it has like a European style adapter plug on the front of it in essence. Maybe that's because the base of it is actually multinational, but anyway, here is the first screen you get. It's a little welcome screen, nothing exciting there, and it wants you to select a Wi-Fi network so that it can download updates before it does really anything else at all. So if you'll excuse me, I will enter my Wi-Fi information, and I'm going to cut over to after I've done that. Okay, now the phone wants me to do an update. I think it was like a 42 megabyte update, which it tried to download and it failed on the first try, which I refuse to attribute to my network because my network's pretty good. So that was just a hiccup with either the phone or the server, I would wager. And I hit retry, and then on the retry it worked. Alright, here we go. The image got a little darker. That will actually be a good thing because it makes the screen far more legible. So you can see it right there. Now, I'm sorry, this is a digital zoom. The quality just got a little crappy, but even though I shot this at 4K, I got to crop it down to fit the phone in there. You can still read what's on there. Of course, it doesn't show how nice the screen is. And the screen is nice. It's just not as nice as my Nexus 6, which is, of course, an AMOLED screen. And this, I believe, is an IPS screen. Alright, so we got the Google logo, it's booting up, and it's going to install a system update. While it's doing that, I just briefly, you're probably familiar with the Nexus 5X specs if you're bothering to watch this video. I have them up on my screen. If you hear my mouse clicking, that's what I'm doing. I'll just run through the advantages and disadvantages of it real quick. The main advantage of it over the Nexus 6 or 6P is, of course, the size. And it's not as small as I would have hoped. I would have hoped they did like a 4.6 or 4.8 inch screen or something. The 5X is a 5.2 inch screen compared to 5.7 for the Nexus 6 and Nexus 6P. I find the Nexus 6 to be a little too big, even though the large high-resolution screen is pretty glorious. It doesn't fit in all of my pants, which is kind of silly. The 5X also feels much better in the hand, where the 6 can feel ungainly in the hand. The 6 is, of course, by almost every measure a technically better phone, even though the cameras are similar, and they can both do 4K video. They both have about 12 megapixels. The front camera on the 6 is much better at 8 megapixels compared to 5 on the 5X. The processor on the 6P is an octa-core, whereas the processor on the 5X is only hex. I say only, but I mean that's still pretty crazy in a phone. Both are 64-bit processors. The 6 also has 3 gigabytes of RAM compared to 2 in the 5X, and the 5X only has LPDDR3 RAM, whereas the 6 has LPDDR4, so a little bit faster in that case. You can get the 6P in sizes with storage sizes up to 128 gigs, whereas the 5X maxes out at 32 gig. So that could be a real deal breaker for you. I wish they would do a fully capable phone that's also a 5-inch phone so that I can buy it. Like I said, I'm perfectly happy. I don't think I said it, but I'm perfectly happy with my Nexus 6 in every way except for its large size. It looks great, it runs great, it feels like a really high quality device, but it's just very large. And by the way, I spoke about the USB Type-C connectors and cable before. The Nexus 6 came with a micro USB connector for charging and data. The Nexus 6P comes with a Type-C USB connector, just like the 5X. And that could be a problem for you if you want to charge your new phone, or if you get one of these new phones at home, at work, in the car, and you generally like to leave a cable in each of those locations so that you don't have to remember to bring a cable with you. You will have to buy some new cables. Now, fortunately, USB Type-C is just the connector type. There are some other differences with the standard. But the important part is that USB Type-C is electrically compatible with USB Type-A connectors, which means that you can use your existing charging transformers and equipment, and if your car provides a USB port, you can still plug a cable directly from that into your phone. You just need a cable that goes from a USB Type-A connector to a USB Type-C connector. But electrically, there shouldn't be a problem with that, so at least that's pretty cool. So there we go, the update has finished, and again we see the Google logo. It's going to reboot again. Alright, it's starting its boot. Now it wants me to insert the SIM card, which of course I already inserted. It's going to detect that in a second, and it will keep going on its own. Of course I already input my Wi-Fi information, and so it just goes right past that. It wants to check the connection. That can take up to 2 minutes. It's not going to take that long. I don't know why it would take up to 2 minutes. I guess maybe if you're on a really slow connection. I don't know what it's doing here. It's probably talking to Google's servers for some reason. And now it's checking for software updates, which it already installed, so that's fine. Compared to the olden days, it is much easier to transfer your contacts and all your other data and information from your old phone. You just say that you want to copy it from another device. On your other device, you open the Google Settings app and set up a nearby device, which I'm going to do right now. Okay, there we go. Now I have my wife's old Samsung Galaxy Nexus. I think it's the first Nexus phone, or one of the first anyway. It's my old phone. She broke her phone right before this, so I gave her this one. And now I'm just fumfering around a little, and we'll go into Google Settings. And in case you have to do this, I'm just going to show you how to do it. It's very simple. You just scroll down to, scroll in, set up nearby device. It gives you some prompting information. Your phone's Bluetooth and your Wi-Fi data will be used, which is fine. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything. And it searches for devices. There we go, it found the 5X, and it connects to it. And that's really all there is to it. Then you just make sure these codes are the same. You don't have to type it in even. It's just to make sure that someone's not hijacking your phone or doing something like that. And now it wants you to finish setup on your 5X. And I have to enter the password for my wife's Google account, which I don't know. So I'm going to bring the phone over to her and have her do it. Alright, password having been entered, it's now asking me to agree to use various Google services and give them permissions to do all sorts of stuff. Now I'm going to show these to you so you can see them. I'm looking at this upside down, so I'm going to pick up the phone in a second to read this more carefully. Always read these things carefully because it tells you kind of what they're doing with your information. You're going to see, I'm going to leave the first two checked and uncheck the last two because I don't want my apps and services scanned for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth even when I don't want them to. Because I don't want them scanning my networks at home or at work. And I'm also going to turn off, it's not on the screen right now, but it's to help Google improve the user experience by submitting reports to them. If I want to submit a report to them, I'll do it manually. I don't want it done automatically, even if it's anonymous and has sanitized data in it. When you're sending crash reports or debug reports to a server, you really don't always know, even though Google's pretty transparent, you don't always know what data is being included, and you'll probably be too irritated and lazy to look. So I generally don't do it, even though it is very helpful to developers, because I'm a developer and trust me on that. So this is the porting of the phone number part. We already gave Google in the Project Fi invite process my wife's phone number and also my Verizon account information. If it didn't already have that information, you could enter it there. Now your phone number transfer is on the way, and it could take up to 1 to 2 business days, it just said. I went through it rather quickly. I guess you could go back and pause it, but that was the meat of it, is that it could take up to 1 to 2 business days. It actually took about up to half an hour. I'm skipping the fingerprint reader because there's not much sensitive information on my wife's device. We don't really need that level of security. In fact, she's never used an unlock code. I did opt in for her to Google Now because I'm opted into Google Now. Google Now does let Google collect a lot of information about you and where you go and what you do. It's probably all stuff that they're going to know anyway, based on your browsing history and whatever else. I don't really go anywhere or do anything terribly exciting. I kind of wish I did. I wish I had a secret mystery second life where I was fighting crime or robbing banks or something, but I really don't. I go from the office to my house, back to the office, and some other stuff in between. It's really not very exciting. And Google can know all about it for whatever I care. Alright, this restoring process is going to go on for a little bit. This is it restoring the data from her phone, her old phone, to this new phone. Alright, here we are. We are at the home screen. It's telling you how to customize your background. I don't know, you probably already know how to do that. That hasn't changed in various versions. And here you can see your phone number is ready to use. So the port is completed apparently, which is really cool. It actually did complete that fast. I did test it. And in addition to that, it is installing apps that were on her old phone. And that takes a considerable amount of time. It took over an hour. Here I'm going to go into the phone information in settings about phone. And as you can see, it's running Android version 6.0, which is Marshmallow. This is a really new phone. Even my Nexus 6 Project 5 phone has not gotten the Marshmallow update yet. But, as you can see, there is really not too much of a difference between Lollipop and Marshmallow, at least not on the surface. She was Googling bobcats being dangerous because it was a bobcat hanging out by my dad's pool in Florida, in case you were wondering. The phone's running a little slowly right now because it's doing so many installations and updates. And so that's about it. Like I said, this was not meant to be a comprehensive review of the Nexus 5X. If you want that, I will be making a Project Fi update or Project Fi roundup video. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but it's going to exist and it's going to be on my YouTube channel. So if you're interested in that, subscribe. It's also going to include some of my updated thoughts and experiences about Project Fi, as well as some other random nonsense that's not really nonsense. But anyway, keep an eye out for it. And if you haven't already seen it, check out my existing Project Fi video, which I will probably link to right here. I'm pointing, but you can't see it because I'm a disembodied voice. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.